Well, my goodness. Did anybody see this coming? I mean, some people had to have, of course, but most of us believed the Warriors were going to win this one. And there you go, the Warriors season is over. The Steph Curry run, the actual MVP, according to some people, including me, by the way, it's all over. Just like that. The Memphis Grizzlies, with Ja Morant playing out of his mind, and we'll get into all that. Man, that was insane. That was nuts. I mean, the Warriors, they made it clear that they did not respect Ja Morant's outside shot. They made that obvious as hell. And what did he go? 5 for something from 3 in this game, whatever it was. I mean, they ignored him off the ball. They went under screens on him. He had 1 pull-up 3, I believe it was. And that on top of a few floaters. I think there were like 2 straight floaters he had in the fourth, which, then we went to overtime and he had another floater or whatever it was, just constantly getting into the paint or killing him from 3. And yet there's other things to talk about between their double teaming of Steph and the Warriors not having enough ball pressure, especially in the first half, and Dylan Brooks one-on-one and whatever else. But the heart of it really was just Ja Morant having a moment, I mean, I don't want to say the coming out party because we all knew Ja Morant was really good, but I don't feel like this was a normal second year player type of game with everyone watching, you know what I mean? So yeah, now there's questions about Ja Morant's overall game and all that stuff. I mean, there's a reason why the Warriors didn't really respect his 3 going into this game. But man, that guy clearly has the it factor. When it comes to the big moments and all that, there's no doubt about it. And how could the Warriors have defended him differently? I mean, especially in the first half, it just seemed like everything was too easy for the Grizzlies. They just got into the paint too easily. There wasn't, a zone defense, which they used later on in the game, or just double teaming, or just something, a different defensive anything, different matchup, throw Draymond at center earlier in the game so you can switch a little more easy. That said, then it would be Valanciunas with a size mismatch, and they eventually went to Draymond at center, but it was just way too easy in the first half. And eventually, they went to the zone defense, and I think the Grizzlies just started missing a couple more threes in the second half. As I say that, Grayson Allen had 2 straight. Xavier Tillman had, 2 from each corner, I believe it was. But still, the Warriors were able to get back into the game a bit. And even so, I mean, Ja Morant he just did it. That's the best way to put it. They, of course, double-teamed Steph like crazy in the second half, and the Warriors, I mean, they had to get so many buckets from just read and react and drive and kick, and the Grizzlies made it clear that Steph is not going to be the one to beat us. I mean, Steph, the last bucket he had was that pull-up mid-range, and that was it. I mean, they had to make plays where it was like, Draymond has it in the open floor, then Jordan Poole's got it, and Poole's got to throw it to Wiggins, and it was just a whole bunch of that stuff. And there was one play where Draymond had to do some weird 2-man game with Kevon Looney. I mean, the Grizzlies just did everything they could to be like, it's not going to be Steph. And how could the Warriors have done that differently? I don't know, man. Whether it's something off ball, whether it's setting the screen super early to allow Steph to get ahead of steam, I don't know. I don't know what the obvious thing would have been to get Steph more possessions where he just wasn't completely surrounded by people. But I'm sure there was something, so Steve Kerr needed to do better there. And really, again, just the defense. I mean, I know like the conversation's going to be about the fourth quarter and the overtime and all that, but the Warriors lost this game when they went down by 15 points. And that was because of bad turnovers, which was even worse in the fourth quarter. I mean, just careless turnovers where it's like, they got that motion offense and a lot of it is improv, so sometimes it just requires 2 guys to be on the same page, and that's not always the case. Now, that said, there was one time, and I know I just totally went off to the left here, but I'll get back to the defense, but there was one time where Wiggins just dropped a pass from Steph, so I guess that one was just a bit of a bad break, but a lot of it was just guys not being on the same page. It felt like being a little too reckless with the ball. There was one where Steph, I think it was Steph, threw it from one elbow to the other side of the floor to get it to Draymond, or maybe it was Jordan Poole or whatever. But anyway, to get back to the defense again, they're just, like, I already said this, but I'm just going to say it again. Like, it was so frustrating how little pressure there was on the ball, and they were just getting beat in these one-on-ones. Like, Wiggins was biting on pump fakes, and John Morant had this one sequence where he, like, got Draymond after he already picked the ball up, and he had, like, a fake pass to somebody who was cutting, and that worked. And it was just like, what's going on? Like, what happened to the super intense defense that I just saw against the Lakers, and now suddenly you guys are getting beat on just basic plays? And then again, eventually they got back into it. But yeah, man, that's it for the Warriors. They're done. That's it. They're gone. I mean, what does this mean for, like, Steph Curry's legacy? Not much. I mean, I'm sure somebody on Twitter is going to suggest to you that this means that he's actually, like, the 45th best player ever or something. Look, Steph Curry's in the top 20 all time. He has many years to get himself potentially in the top 10. I mean, the top 10 players of all time is pretty rock solid, but whatever that might be for Steph and his legacy. But for this one season, I mean, looking back on it for the Warriors, because of course now their season's over, I mean, you think about the Wiseman stuff again and how they were just better without him. And that's a conversation that's going to happen next year unless Wiseman just has a major improvement. That's, of course, saying he's on the team next season. There's a chance that there's going to be like, listen, man, we got you, we got the Wolves pick, we have a few more years left of Steph and Draymond and Clay. We got to go for it right now, and I don't think anyone would fault them for that. I mean, I'll probably end up doing just a video about the Warriors, but that's really the heart of the conversation, especially because there's no other real obvious way for them to make a big move. I mean, their big salary guys are Wiggins and Draymond, and we'll have to see there. But yeah, besides that, you think about the Grizzlies, well, they're going to face the Jazz, and my early prediction of that, I'm not going to do a video. I mean, the playoffs start tomorrow. We've just pretty much run out of time. Same thing with the Knicks-Hawks. It's just, my early take is the Jazz will win that series in like 4 or 5 games, but still, don't let that distract you from, my goodness. I mean, Taylor Jenkins, Ja Morant, Kyle Anderson, Valanciunas, Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, Grayson Allen, Xavier Tillman. I mean, what a game, what a season. I mean, this is a team that doesn't get talked about as much. Like, we all acknowledge Ja Morant's really good. We've acknowledged Jaren Jackson being hurt, but, there's a conversation every day about the Pelicans, about Phoenix, well-deserved with Phoenix, of course. A lot of conversations about the Warriors every day. And while all this was happening, the Grizzlies just kept on going and playing tough on defense and going to their deep roster, and there you go. 8th seed in the West. It's just crazy, It's really, really wild. And we just had the game of the year with Lakers-Warriors, and now we have another game of the year with Warriors-Grizzlies. And again, Warrior season's over. Grizzlies keep going.